Oh yeah, hey. I was going to rant a little bit about the targeted individual stuff, the gang stalking stuff, the counterintelligence program things that they do that Edward Snowden warned about in 2013 when he got stuck in Russia. Um, so yeah, they do stuff like that, right? And like I've been talking about in the past few videos, they put me through many MK Ultras, like try like getting me to hurt myself or be stupid and um, be a sexual abuser, be a mass shooter, be a sex slave. A lot of it revolving around sex because they do that to us when we're really young, and that's why nothing's being done about the Catholic Church molesting so many because they're like part of the system. They're part of the mass, molest everybody and molest some extras to give the mob something to fucking, feel good about. And so that sort of stuff. And those ice cream truck people that they got people to stop thinking about are involved as well. They were part of that stalking crew, and they were luring people out, and they got people following the fucking truck and whatnot. But there was people probably following them, following the truck, is the thing, and they root out the good ones that would say something, and they were going to the stores and buying dozens, wanting to buy dozens of triple bunk beds for kids. And then they got some guy concerned on the phone, yeah, because they need to like red flag all the good in the world, is what they do. The evil I'm talking about. And then they have their kids, for a long time, feel themselves up around me. They, are roofing, molesting me constantly. Forcing magicians, forcing kind of, do you want to babysit our kid? And we'll totally have them feel themselves up around you too. And then like I go down steers to my in my uncle's place a lot when we have the family get-togethers because it's like really socially draining. And and then they have my cousin like follow me and everything, and it's always that. And then even when I'm a kid, they're like, putting their hands on their child's shoulders and moving them like away from me and everything. And that's like a form of psychological warfare that they've been doing, and it's to feed the mob and everything and child protectors that I'm not too fucking thrilled about either. Because they're like, oh, we'll pick up the mantle after you tortured this child into their adulthood. Well, that sounds fucking shitty too. What the fuck's wrong with you? And then there's all these different tribes, and you know what? And that's the solution: is different people raise their children differently. You know, if your society wasn't so like really fucked up and everything, maybe there'll be less cases of incest, right? you know, like don't make your shit so shitty that people don't even want to participate in it. And it's kind of like getting to that. They're like, well, we got McDonald's, and it's like, how many of you could like survive in the wild for like a week? No McDonald's. You know, you just have like minimal supplies or something. How would you survive? So you're totally dependent on them too, and then they're going around doing their shit anyway, and then they're just like, let's just molest extras and give that to the mob. That's the bread and circus, and it's just distraction after distraction after misdirection after misdirection after distraction, misdirection, distraction, and misdirection. And then there's people above the assholes that you know about, because there's the unknown ones too, right? So, well, I mean, they're kind of like being known, but even, there's a fucking demon or something, another individual behind them. All right. So only just like recently discovering this, right, myself, and it's like, oh my god, and it's like, yeah, oh my god, like I mean, just yeah, the way the child protectors do their things, but they're also doing that eyes wide shut shit too, and it's hard to tell what's what. Anyway, and okay, so they're doing the psychological warfare thing on you. They're like, we gotta. It's like, dude, you guys are the ones doing shit to me constantly, like from my childhood into my adulthood. So, fuck the fuck off. And that's how I deal with that. And they're going to come at you with, and other people just like a lot of smears, and that's their number one. is like a group of people who like literally sleep around with children, going around telling other people they're child predators, and then they're rooking other people in on it, and that's how they do it with the weird fucked up tactic. And then when you're given that piece of extra information that not a lot of people have, they're like, so you've been like, molesting them since a child with your children into their adulthood, and that's what you're getting us to participate into. Then people take a step back and they're like, oh shit, so you just don't let it bother you, like that famous quote, the famous Frank Herbert quote about fear in Dune. And fear's the mind killer, and you let it pass through you, and then you'll remain, something like that. And you need to let those little irritations, pass you. Even when they're making you think like they're going to kill you too, because they'll start cropping up, and then the matrix, sorta, the actual one that responds to your feelings and what you think and feel, the universe. And then they have this artificial intelligence that just enhances that shit. It tries to twist it their way. Is why they want the artificial intelligence, so they could twist it in their fucking way. But yeah, I was even listening to a thing on TPs uh, the other night, last night, and how they even keep warm like way better than log cabins. Or people would like freeze to death in their log cabins, and how the TP needs like less fuel than like a log cabin does. Because yeah, you guys ruin the natives of the lands, and then you build your shit, and you're like, it's better. And that's what a lot of people resist. People are like, man, they're walking around with sandals and like some Roman garb or something, and you call that life? They don't even have Pizza Hut. And there aren't fucking, a bunch of young chicks with their asses hanging out of their shorts and shit. And it's like, yeah, maybe they just, are a little more connected, and they choose not to be like that, like the highly disconnected people in the empire. Or the highly disconnected people in the empire, they're like, man, I avoided that MK Ultra too, with the trans thing too. And yeah, I could find trans attractive, because they like to fuck with that, and they like to fuck with people too. So they're like, well, here, how about this option, hormones? And some families will do that, and some families, won't. And that's just that. Like, there's all these different tribes. And y'all need to get along better. But there's some tribes that are like, we're gonna fucking blow it up for everyone else if we don't get our way. And it's those ones that are like ruining it for everyone else. So yeah. But there's like some tribes that like do the whole, like, we raise this child to be the plant eating sacrifice, and they're gonna go when they're 15 or 16. But like, and people are just going to do their weird shit, and you just need to learn to kind of accept that, and then the world would know peace then, actually. Because you make all these laws and everything, and then they're doing it anyway, especially the families at the top, and they're all like, like Cersei and Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones, and they're all like, just fucking each other. And that's what makes the whole like setting my cousin down in my fucking, like, in the basement where I would go to be alone and away from people. But then you like almost like that was intentional. Like, I mean, but in a, we want to keep it in the family and blah blah blah, because I have this special bloodline apparently that gets stalked for life. So it's a lot more Jesus-like, and I will definitely give the possibility that something is making me think I'm a Satan spirit when I'm really not, because I, am still aspiring to do a ton of Jesus-like things, and I have been wanting to for a long time. And that's why they keep me from that shit too, to try to make me look as bad as possible, because I come back a lot. And anyway, and they're good at detecting us, because we're not really good being sexual with others. Especially, it's very hard for me to have sex as I've said before with others. But there's like a few that it's been really easy, I guess, with. But they've known this when I was a child. You know, when they're trying to hook me up with theirs. And then maybe their kid did something to me, you know, sexually, and that made me, you know, trauma response, you know. And then they're like, oh, this isn't going to work, you know. And it's actually been like that into my adulthood, just about. But there's been a few where I have been able to make it work, but there was forces, you know, very powerful forces trying to separate us, that were, you know, unfortunately successful at the time. So, very sorry that happened. But anyway, weather has been sort of nice, although they have some of their fucking planes out, you know, scarring the sky. But during the government shutdown, there's not as many. So that's good. All right, peace the fuck out, everyone.